Good evening and thank you for joining us here on News Press Now. I'm Megan Miller. Well, the snow is coming down out there. Let's get a first look with Chief Meteorologist Matt Brooks. He is on our roof, keeping a very close eye on these winter weather conditions. On the 27th day of the partial government shutdown, one local transportation company that thought it would have to turn riders away got some good news. A scary situation for a family early this afternoon. A stray bullet hit their home after a possible drive-by shooting. Bob, the word right now, the word of the night is courage. It took a lot of it for me to get out here. Right now I'm dangling 8 stories above the ground. Which, yeah, I don't do things like this often, so it took a lot of courage. But again, like I said, that's the big word here. This is for Voices of Courage, the Child Advocacy Center in St. Joseph. So it's a fundraiser and also raises awareness for that group. Since 1972, Title IX has been setting a standard for equal opportunity in educational institutes. But it wasn't until recently that universities started using the amendment to deal with sexual violence and assault on campus. One of the most closely watched midterm races in the nation is right here in Missouri, with Republican Josh Hawley trying to unseat incumbent Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill. Kansas lawmakers have a new budget proposal to consider. New at 6, we have details on Governor Laura Kelly's proposed plan that commits to higher spending on education and an expanded Medicaid program. We're expecting freezing rain that looks to impact drivers tonight. Could be another winter mess. St. Joseph native Bill Snyder has coached his final game for the Kansas State Wildcats. He announced his retirement earlier today. Brandon Zenner joins us with more on this. I know it's big news for K-State fans. Some people saw it coming for a while, but still a lot to take in today.
Next year, there will be more students walking these halls behind me, partly because of the closure of Humboldt Elementary School, which, of course, is a budget cut measure by the St. Joseph School District.
And one local company is offering free rides down to the game for local Chiefs fans with tickets. It might be helpful to fans worried about the winter weather or paying for parking. The fire started right here, and if it weren't for one small act of kindness, it may have spread throughout the whole house.
Let me just show you what's going on down here. So basically, you come up to the window here, and then we have a crew that is helping us down, which is great.
It's still coming down a little bit out here, and you know, like I mentioned, traffic is now just starting to pick up. It was moving along pretty slow this morning, but certainly allow yourself some extra time.
Right now, Missouri IDs are not in compliance with federal standards. But thanks to a recent extension, you should still be able to get on a plane, visit a military base, and use your ID. But what happens when that deadline runs out? Tonight on News Press Now, we take a closer look at Real ID and what's next.
Ricky Johnson and his wife are planning a trip to see some friends in Las Vegas.
We're going to fly out of KCI, and we were planning that for October or November of this year.
But right as the Johnsons started planning their trip, they noticed the latest extension involving Real ID in Missouri runs out on October 10th.
So we went to the post office, secured applications for a passport, and you know, it's not cheap to get a passport, $110 a person.
Then, Johnson read a report about Real ID and a new extension, suggesting he had the option of getting a compliant driver's license.
So I called the License Bureau up in Savannah, and they indicated to me that they didn't have anything like that.
So back to the drawing board. And Johnson is not the only traveler confused by Real ID and its deadlines.
I'm not certain what the latest is.
Anne Marie Moy with the Missouri Department of Revenue says Missourians still have to wait a while before they can get a Real ID. And the latest is a new extension.
We're still awaiting a decision on that. But in the meantime, we know that if we don't get that extension granted by the October 10th deadline, the Department of Homeland Security has confirmed for us that all Missourians will continue to be covered under a grace period.
So for now, Missourians or anyone with a non-compliant ID shouldn't necessarily be worried, but another deadline is looming.
At the very least, they have until January 21st, 2019.
That's when the grace period ends. Along with travelers, Joe McBride, a spokesperson for KCI, has also been dealing with some of the confusion that comes with Real ID.
We've been working with the Missouri Department of Revenue and the Department of Homeland Security to try to get some clarification on the various dates.
By March of 2019, the Missouri Department of Revenue hopes to achieve full implementation, allowing Missourians to get a Real ID if they so choose.
We've cleared most of the hurdles at this point. Right now we are just in the process of just working out the logistics from an IT standpoint.
Moy adds that it's not a surprise implementation has taken a while. The issue took some time to clear legislative hurdles because of privacy concerns. But now, Real ID is moving forward in Missouri. And the Johnsons, they are still going to Las Vegas.
Now our planned trip is within the period of the extension, so we're probably not going to press the issue with the passport situation, since we can now use our regular driver's license to do that. So,
for News Press Now, I'm Meagan Miller. A broken window and shattered glass. That's what Robert Meller, the owner of this historic home, discovered on Tuesday. But the damage he found inside was much worse.
All the copper was removed, copper wiring, copper tubing for water, even to the copper drain lines.
Captain Jeff Wilson with the St. Joseph Police Department says copper theft is pretty common in this area.
It's common at new construction sites, places being remodeled. They'll steal these and sell them at the metal salvage yards for a fairly good price. So it's a problem that we're definitely aware of.
A problem that will cost Meller a lot of time and money.
But to take the copper, you had to go into the attic, you had to open walls, you had to open ceilings, and maybe for $100 or $200 of scrap copper, they may have done $20,000 of damage in the house.
And he had just put that much money into the house, hoping to put it up for rent soon.
It saddens me. It really does, because right with this house, I'm trying to preserve a piece of St. Joseph history.
Different from the other homes in the historic Hall Street district, this house is small, but it still tells an important story of the past, focusing on someone who once lived there.
He was a Pony Express rider probably when he was about 16, 17, 18 years old. Maybe 10, 15 years later, he lived here.
And now, as Meller moves forward, he hopes for a change in priorities from the city.
Priorities to save historic sites, historic history, not to go around and measure grasses and give citations.
For News Press Now, I'm Meagan Miller.
And I'm just going to pull the lever. All right.
Rappelling down an 8-story building takes a lot of courage.
All right, we're going down. I wasn't going to look down, but I am.
But it takes even more for children to speak up about abuse or trauma they're going through.
We really liked the idea of this event because it does tie in so well with our mission, which is getting up the courage to overcome a fear.
Tomorrow, around 40 people will do just that, rappelling down the Hilliard Building in downtown St. Joseph and raising money for the Voices of Courage Children's Advocacy Center.
You sign up to rappel, and then you agree to raise $1,000 in order to get to rappel. So each person who has gone over or who's going over has met that goal.
That means the Over the Edge event has raised about $40,000, and it also raises awareness about what Voices of Courage does.
One of the things we really want to do is to get people to understand who we are and what we do. Last year we saw 830 children through our center, and we see them for two reasons. We do mental health services for children who've been abused or through trauma, and then we work with local law enforcement children's division.
Birdsell is one of the people going over the edge tomorrow, and she says it's taken a lot of courage to do so.
I'm very nervous, I will be honest with you. I'm not a heights person. I don't like heights at all, so everybody says it's fun. All the ones that have gone over so far today have said, great fun, just gotta, it's kind of one of those deals, take that first step and you're good.
For News Press Now, I'm Meagan Miller.
All right, got a great view of St. Joseph from up here.